planning event. The sprint planning initiates the sprint. The purpose of the sprint planning is to lay out all the work to be performed in the sprint backlog. Who participates? The entire Scrum team collaboratively work together to create a resulting plan. The product owner ensures that attendees are prepared to discuss the most important product backlog items and how they map to the product goal. The Scrum team may also invite other people to attend sprint planning to provide advice. When is it held? Sprint planning is the first event of the sprint. Optimally, it is held at the same time and place to reduce complexity. Sprint planning is time-boxed to a maximum of 8 hours for a 1-month sprint. For shorter sprints, the event is usually shorter. Scrum does not say anything about whether for sprints lasting less than 1 month, the maximum duration of the event should be proportionally less. There is no such thing like no more than 4 hours is required for a 2-week sprint. The Scrum Master ensures that this event takes place, is positive, productive, and kept within the time box. Sprint planning addresses 3 following topics. Topic number 1. Why is this sprint valuable? Topic 2. What can be done this sprint? And topic 3. How will the chosen work get done? Let's discuss these 3 parts in more detail. During the first part, the Scrum team answers the question, why is this sprint valuable? The product owner proposes how the product could increase its value and utility in the current sprint, and the whole team collaborates to define a sprint goal. The sprint goal is a single objective for the sprint. It communicates why the sprint is valuable to stakeholders. The sprint goal creates coherence and focus, encouraging the Scrum team to work together rather than separate initiatives. A sprint goal must be finalized prior to the end of the sprint planning. It is included in the sprint backlog. During the second part, the Scrum team answers the question, what can be done this sprint? Product backlog items that can be done by the Scrum team within 1 sprint are deemed ready for selection in a sprint planning event. The developers select items from the product backlog and include them in the current sprint. They clarify the information with the product owner if needed. The Scrum team may refine product backlog items to increase understanding and confidence. The developers select how much can be completed within a sprint. Scrum does not specify any sizing technique nor any unit of measurement. Days, hours, t-shirt sizes, story points, anything may be used. Both the unit of measurement and the evaluation technique are chosen by the team. This is another example of how self-management works. The forecasting of how much can be completed within a sprint is not an easy task to do. However, the more you know about your past performance, your upcoming capacity, and your definition of done, the more confident you will be in your sprint forecasts. If a product backlog item size is more than 1 sprint, can a team take it into the next sprint? The answer is no. Only product backlog items that can be done by the Scrum team within 1 sprint can be selected in a sprint planning event. They cannot simply plan to start the work in 1 sprint and complete in the next one. Of course, it happens sometimes. But you do not plan to work like this. Otherwise, there is no point in using Scrum. In Scrum, you focus on the sprint goal and do everything that is in your power to achieve it by the end of the sprint. Scrum team is accountable for creating a valuable, useful increment every sprint. That's the point, and that's the power of Scrum. During the third part, the Scrum team answers the question, how will the chosen work get done? For each selected product backlog item, the developers plan the work necessary to create an increment that meets the definition of done. This is often done by decomposing product backlog items into smaller items of 1 day or less. How this is done is at sole discretion of the developers. No one else tells them how to turn product backlog items into increments of value. This is another example of how self-management and empowerment work. Now, let's summarize the topic of the sprint planning event. Look at the things that would be good to know before planning. The most important product backlog items, how the most important product backlog items map to the product goal, attendees are known, invited and prepared, Scrum Team is mandatory, do we need other people to provide advice? To be more confident in your sprint forecasts, it is better to know your team's past performance, upcoming capacity, and the definition of done. By the end of the sprint planning, the Scrum team should have a finalized sprint backlog, the work to be performed in the sprint, including a collaboratively finalized sprint goal, answering why the sprint is valuable to stakeholders, product backlog items selected from the product backlog by the developers to include in the current sprint backlog, and refined by the Scrum team if needed. The work necessary to create an increment that meets the definition of done, planned for each product backlog item by the developers, and decomposed into work items of 1 day or less if needed. Based on the information discussed, let's fill out the checklist for an effective meeting. You can take a screenshot of this frame. I'll wait for another 10 seconds. Or you can download a PDF with this table by the link in the description for the lesson. But from an effective time management perspective, it's better to perform small tasks immediately. Well, have you taken a screenshot? Anyway, let's move on. For those who have already answered the test questions on this event, here is a checklist of everything that needs to be prepared before the event, that needs to be done during the event, and what needs to be received as an output from the event.